Guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. Okay, so today we have another launch, and that too from SpaceX, carrying the Cargo Dragon, their most reliable, the resupply mission to the International Space Station. And today we are here to witness that. First of all, shout out to 321 Launch for providing such a beautiful footage here. And how are you guys? How hi Patel, hi Clemens West, hi Sean McGuinness, hi DRD, hi Aquatic Risey. Hi, Ian Rove Gaming. I am good, man. So there is a lot of things to discuss about this launch, and I've been, yeah, this was a pretty short break for me because I didn't do anything productive in this break because I had to have some me time on this. I was May month was such a busy schedule for me, and yeah, so I did a little off break, and now I'm back with regular content, regular updates, and everything. So today we are here, guys. First of all, if you don't know, today we will be witnessing a Cargo Dragon launch to international space stations. We are around 39 minutes until the launch, but before going into the launch, we should be discussing about what all are the developments in it. I mean, what are the things which are going into the space station, right? And as mentioned by Sean, we are having some water bears going to the space station. So here you can see that water bears, you can call them water bears, tardigrades, or moss. That is also one of their name, right? Moss, what? Moss piglets, yeah. So these are the tardigrades, the water bears, the famously named as water bears, and these are the most rugged creatures, biological creatures ever created on Earth, at least. Sorry. So why am I saying? Because they can survive hard vacuum, radiations, uh, even the hottest of temperature like lava, even the coldest, the Antarctica and whatnot. These are the unbreakable or unkillable creatures there on the earth right now, and they are the perfect candidates. That's why they are the perfect candidates to study the stress factors which will affect humans in space. So these are the water bears which will be going into the International Space Station, and they will the crew will conduct experiments that could provide a better understanding of the stress factors affecting humans in space. So yes, that is the case with these water bears. And now the another animal module which is going into the space station is, here we go, the squids, or specifically bobtail squids. These are the another animal model going into the space station, and yes, they will also have some pretty good impacts on how the things. Just a sec. Think this is being messed up here. Okay, fine. Let's just have a look at it. Okay, it a sec, man. Okay, so here we are, the bobtail squids. These are the bobtail squids, and actually they are the ones which will be responsible for testing out the animals interaction with the bacteria. Okay, I mean how the microbes interaction with the animal, how the microbes actually interact with humans or organism, we don't know actually right now. So these are the squids which will be going up to the space station with some bacteria, hopefully a good one only. Yes, that would be a good one only. And they will be studying how microbes actually interact with animals in space. So yes, micro-G environment actually changes everything, and we need to understand them so as to have our astronauts safe in the station, right? So yeah, that is the case. Yeah, now talking about the other experiments which is this one, which is a plant experiment. So here you can see it's a plant experiment, and basically this will ensure that this is a research experiment, I would say, that will ensure that how the plants could be managed, or could be yes, grown with the efficient use of water and nutrients and the less use of pesticides and all those things. So yeah, that is the things. And yes, interestingly, the experiment has been named as TikTok. Okay, so yeah, it is has been named as TikTok, and it actually stands for um, targeting improved cotton through on-orbit cultivation. So this is the full form of it, and will study the influence of the root system on plant functions that are crucial for their survival. And yes, this could help to develop cotton variants that require less water and pesticides for the normal growth. So yes, this is the another one which is going on. And now moving on to the next one. Okay, so this is the another one experiment going on, and this is an interesting one. This is what they call a 3D kidney cell model which is going on to the space station. And basically they will be studying the structure and the function of these calcium oxalates which exist on the the kidney cells. So this is what they are going to do with this mission, with this research. And yeah, that is pretty much about it. Microgravity effects on kidney stone and how can all those can be managed will be done with this experiment. Okay, so this is the effects of microgravity on the structure and function of proximal distal tubules or MPs. Okay, moving on to the next one. The next one which is going is, okay, so this is a one of my favorite, the pilot or pilate, whatever you want to say. It's a French word if I'm not wrong. And yeah, so what are they going to do with this thing? So they are testing actually the ergonomics of a multi-sensory interface for controlling the robotic arms and spacecraft in microgravity environment. And why is it necessary? Because let me just change it to another image here, and here you can see they're literally creating a virtual reality hardware system which will be tested, and which could be used in space stations to move the robotic arms, to do some move the robotic arm basically. And they are doing the virtual reality kind of a thing with this experiment. In order to test the ergonomics of a multi-sensor interface for controlling robotic arms and spacecraft, it is necessary to perform the trials in microgravity. Obviously, because the ergonomics in microgravity is different what we have on Earth. Everything is in around zeros G's. So yeah, so this is a one interesting one here. As you can see, the person can literally use the virtual reality to simulate the situation which will be there on these what do you say, the ISS. So yeah, maybe it could be used like a real ground crew operating from the ground and operating the the arm in some sort of emergency or what. And obviously it can be used to train astronauts also. So yes, this is going to the ISS so that the ergonomics and the sensors basically the mechanics can be improved in order to support the microgravity. So that is what we'll be seeing here. You can see another one, and it is going to be a really cool experiment which you can see here. So yes, this is one of those experiments going on. So moving on to the next one. Just a sec. Opening. Yeah, the butterfly IQ ultrasound. Okay, so yes, in a very the whenever you are in space station or in micro G's, everything is different, right? And even ultrasound is different. So here you can see the thing with the ultrasound, which you can see that it will demonstrate the effectiveness of the portable ultrasound device used in conjunction with a mobile computing device in the space environment. So yes, this is actually necessary because you need to have some medical devices on board when you are going on to for a long duration mission such as Mars or so, or deep space missions. So because ground communication will not be a possibility at that time, because if you are in Mars, it will be around 22 minutes or so for any communication to take place. So you need doctors at the spot and the equipments for them to use at the spot without having called the ground stations on the earth to rectify the situation. So yes, the astronauts will be trained in the medical behalf too, and obviously there is a crew which goes whenever these type of missions happens, right? It's like more of like those navy missions, or you can say the boat missions which happens. You need to carry all those specialists with yourself, like obviously the pilot will be there, the astronaut pilot, the payload specialist will be there, the engineer will be there. If anything goes wrong in the station, we need to have one engineer, and obviously one doctor will be also there if there is some issue with any medical personnel. So these are some of the important personalities that are actually needed whenever you want to have some a long duration mission. So yeah, that is the case here. Now moving on to the next one, here we yeah, so this is one of those those experiments which you can see here. Not the experiment, but the solar panels. Here are the solar panels which will be launched in the station. Here you can see that. Just a sec. Everything good or what? Okay, so there is some problem with my this system. I don't know what is happening here. Maybe I can just figure it out sometime else, and right now I can. Oh, is it good now? Hi Shashank. Okay, so is it launching from NASA Wallops? Nope, it is launching from the station, the Kennedy Space Center. So the image which you are right now seeing is the roll, um, solar panels rolled in. Yes, these are the solar panels which will be used in the space station. They are replacing the solar panels basically to the newer ones, and this needs to be done. These are the 4 pairs of the solar arrays at the ISS, the first of which was deployed in 2000, and I mean, they have a life of around 15 years, but it already served its purpose, and right now it is still operating, and that it is operating for 20 years. So yes, those need to be replaced, and these one will be there to replace one. They are known as IROSA, the new rollout solar arrays, and these are actually placed in the unpressurized section of the cargo Dragon. So there is a one pressurized and there is one unpressurized section. So pressurized section is nothing but what you get inside the Dragon. I mean, if you have seen Crew Dragon missions wherein the crew sets, that section is the pressurized one. And the trunk, where when if you go you are taking the astronauts, that trunk is filled with E-class, which is nothing but the environment control and life support system. But when you are not taking crew, then that section is basically used for putting in the unpressurized cargo. So this is the unpressurized cargo. This is literally unpressurized, means this is literally open to the space station, sorry, open to open space. There is nothing to cover the the trunk, as we all know. It is open from behind. So yes, this is placed in that trunk and will be going into the space station. Okay, so everything is going good, I suppose, till now, right? uh okay, just a sec here. I think should be good. Fine. Now the next thing, which is okay, so there are some cube sets also going in, the Ilana 36 cube sets, which will be going in with the the educational launch of nano satellites program. There will be around 10 cube sets that will be deployed, and these are the if you don't know, ISS has this capability to deploy the cube sets from the space station, because they are already in an orbit, right? And yes, though, and some educational satellites could just use that orbit, because they most probably need just a 0G environment and space to conduct their experiments. So this is the educational program, and there are some the CubeSats are made from by universities, schools and institutes and all those things. So Yes, that is the case here. Okay, now moving on to the next one. I don't think so. We do have a next one. Okay, so yeah, we do have some other hardwares and the supplies to the space station, which will be used by the crew on board here. So, but before that, the cargo which is being launched today, we should be having a look at that. Around 3.3 tons of cargo will be launched today, and unpressurized cargo with packaging will basically the solar arrays, weighs around 1.9 tons. The pressurized tray weighs around 1.9 tons, and unpressurized rollout solar arrays weighs around 1.3 tons, and of which the pressurized cargo we can see the crew supplies is 341 kilograms, science investigation 920, spacewalk equipments 52 kg, vehicle hardware 345, and computer resources obviously 58 kilograms is there. The hardware which is being launched today, obviously the solar array, some one catalytic reactor for water for supporting the water production capability. Then this commercial crew vehicle emergency breathing air assembly, or SIBA as they say, basically some breathing assembly in the space, the cargo or the crew dragon. Basically they can have this breathing assembly on the crew dragon, and then that can spare around 1 hour of oxygen if there is some ammonia leakage in ISS. And then we have this Zarya control module, Kurt's electronic unit, which is nothing but the Russian module, um, in particular Russian module unit. And then we have the portable water dispenser filter, commercial off the shelf air tanks, some air tanks, and some icebergs for cold storage capability to support extended payload operation. So this will, as you all know, the cargo dragon is reusable and it just doesn't burn up in atmosphere. So it will be taking on some taking down some experiments, such as this reactor development text objective urine processing assembly for replacing a sebaceous main controller, rodent research habitat, nitrogen oxygen research system. Okay. I have just okay, so before just closing in, let me just tell you the food which is going to the space station: the apples, the oranges, the tomatoes, onions, some lemons, some peppers, and some avocados, as they say. Okay, so these are the fresh food which is going to the space station, and then 15 standard menu food containers, 30 crew specific menu and coffee tea preference containers, and 10 food physiology containers. So this 10 food physiology containers is the one thing which I didn't understand. I would like to gain some knowledge about it, but right now, yes, this is the menu they have. This is what it is going to the space station, and yes, now we are done with this thing. Okay, so till now, if you have any other question, guys, you can surely ask me right now, and I can, suggest something or maybe answer your questions. Yes, John. Hi, John. Hi, Verika. Yes, hi, Rocket Gyan. Good to see you again. Good to see you too, Verika, and all of you guys. SpaceX stream is live now. Oh, okay. Is it live? Fine. Has come, actually it has come a little bit earlier now. Oh yeah, because it is the NASA is going in, NASA is streaming basically. Yeah, okay, fine. Let me just set it up once. uh just give me a sec, guys. So this is a standard rocket profile which you can see here. uh Basically the typical profile which the SpaceX Falcon 9 follows. Here you can see the, you know first stage MECO, first stage separation, and then the entry bun and all those. Just a sec, let me just switch on word to the SpaceX stream. Okay, loading, it's loading, just a sec. Fine, come on, work in full screen. Okay, just a sec. Okay, yeah, here we are. So they will be telling you
The
about some
Matter of Time
experiments now.
supplies are launching to the International Space Station on SpaceX's 22nd Commercial Resupply Services mission, including several investigations sponsored by the U.S. National Laboratory. This mission has everything, from fundamental and applied research to payloads dedicated to in-space production applications, recognizable private sector partners supporting research and development, and student-led experiments. Let's take a deeper look into some of the investigations that are launching on SpaceX CRS-22. Colgate-Palmolive, the global household and consumer products company, will launch the first private sector oral healthcare investigation to the ISS on this mission. The project aims to identify the molecular characteristics of a healthy and diseased oral microbiome. The research team will study unique plaque pathologies in relation to oral health status, examining microgravity's effects on biofilm formation and comparing responses to common oral care agents. Results could help Colgate-Palmolive develop more effective products for consumers on Earth.
So this is the
Each
commercial
year,
one.
25 million metric tons of cotton are grown around the world, and each kilogram requires thousands of liters of water to produce. In an effort to minimize water consumption used for cotton production, Target Corporation has funded a project from the University of Wisconsin to examine the response of cotton plants to the stress of microgravity and evaluate effects on growth and root behavior. This investigation seeks to better understand the genetics involved in root system development, which could lead to the production of cotton plants that use water more efficiently on Earth. The National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences, one of the 27 institutes and centers of the National Institutes of Health, continues to work with the ISS National Lab to fund projects as part of the Tissue Chips in Space initiative. Tissue chips contain human cells grown on an artificial scaffold to model the structure and function of human tissue. Using tissue chips in space, researchers can develop better models of disease and more accurately test potential new therapeutics for patients on Earth. This mission includes a tissue chips in space investigation from the University of Washington. The research team will use tissue chip systems that model the human kidney to better understand kidney stone formation, the body's use of vitamin D, and a condition in which a person's urine contains unusually high amounts of protein.
Wow.
Pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly and Company has a history of sending research and development to the orbiting laboratory. On this mission, the company will launch an investigation to examine the effects of gravity on the physical state and properties of freeze-dried pharmaceutical products. Results could help Lilly improve the chemical and physical stability of pharmaceutical products for patients on Earth.
People actually forget the use of space
The
stations which we
investigations
have.
launching on this mission aim to bring value to our nation and drive a robust, sustainable market in low Earth orbit. To learn more about all the payloads on this mission that are sponsored by the ISS National Lab, and to learn about current opportunities to become part of the space station research community, please visit issnationallab.org.
Actually, space station has this endless opportunities which
Now,
we
you heard in
can.
that video about an experiment with cotton. Let's take a closer look at that one because you might be amused by its name, TikTok. And no, it has nothing to do with the social media app TikTok.
Exactly.
Here to help us understand the name and why this research is so significant is Principal Investigator Dr. Simon Gilroy. Dr. Gilroy, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure to be here.
Well, obviously,
Whoa.
we've said TikTok. Your TikTok is different from
That-
the TikTok most of us know. So what is
Okay.
your TikTok?
Yep, we definitely came second. So it's an acronym for Targeting Improved Cotton Through Orbital Cultivation.
And what does that mean? What are you trying to do here?
So we've got the opportunity to understand a little bit more about how cotton grows by growing it on the space station and doing the kind of experiments you just simply can't do when you're on the Earth.
And how are you actually going to grow cotton on the space station, and how much of it are you trying to grow?
All right, so cotton gets to be a really big plant, so we're not going to grow full-sized cotton plants, 6 foot tall.
That's what
This is
I
actually
was
the
thinking,
chamber
man.
that we are going to send up. So
wow.
there are 12 of these, which are going to go up onto the space station. Each one of them has 4 cotton seeds in there. And we've set it up so they'll actually germinate while they're on the station. And they'll fill this chamber after about 6 days.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
And so what exactly are you trying to figure out in space that can hopefully help us here on Earth?
Cotton is an incredibly thirsty crop. It uses tremendous amount of water, hundreds of gallons just to make one t-shirt. And it also uses a lot of inputs like nutrients that the farmers have to add, pesticides. And a lot of those features of cotton, they are root traits. So they're things that, the root takes up the water, the root takes up the nutrients. And so what we're hoping to do on the space station is learn a little bit more about how that root system develops, with the idea that if we can, very specifically for us, understand how gravity directs that root system to grow and spread throughout the soil, we might be able to target features there that then we can give that information to breeders who will then be able to go down the road of improving cotton.
Yeah, basically to make better cotton, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
yeah.
amazing. How does it feel to have science going up to space today?
I mean, it is an amazing opportunity.
Exactly,
We've
Andrew.
shot a couple of experiments up to the space station before. Every single time, it's a rush to see your stuff going up on the rocket.
I got to ask you, why cotton?
Cotton, partly because we have the opportunity to understand a little bit more about a really important economic crop with a big environmental footprint on Earth. So using the facilities of the space station to do things that we just could never do on Earth. And also, there have been a lot of plant biology experiments done by a lot of great researchers on the station, but on a relatively few species of plants. And so cotton is going to give us this fantastic tool to ask, how different is it from these other plants and how similar? What do all plants do when they're in space, and what does very specifically particular to each kind of plant?
Doctor, I'm so excited to see what you find out. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And one more notable payload I wanted to tell you about is the first satellite developed by the island nation of Mauritius. That's east of Madagascar, if you didn't know that. It's CubeSat, which is a small satellite about this big, will photograph the region and conduct experimental communication with other islands. So really cool there. Again, you know, just really fascinating payloads on today's mission. Now let's head back to Shiva for an update.
Thanks, Megan. We're just under T-minus 15 minutes and counting to the liftoff of a Falcon 9 carrying cargo Dragon on the next commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station. Now, as we talked about earlier, Dragon was designed with reusability in mind. To date, 9 of our cargo resupply missions have launched on flight-proven Dragon spacecraft. And while we have a history of reflying cargo vehicles and now crew vehicles with the successful launch of Crew 2, as of today, we will also reuse Dragon's heat shield structure for the first time. The heat shield flying today safely returned astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to Earth on the Demo 2 mission last year. Reusability allows SpaceX to refly the most expensive parts of the spacecraft, and that in turn drives down the cost of space access. So while Dragon today is a new vehicle, there are a handful of components flying that have seen some space before, the heat shield structure just being one example. Now, speaking of new technologies, the astronauts on board the International Space Station are eagerly awaiting this next delivery of science to keep them busy on the world's only orbiting laboratory. We had a chance to catch up with a couple of them to hear about the work they've been doing since they arrived safely on the Crew 2 mission back in April.
Hi everyone, welcome to the International Space Station. I'm Aki Hoshide, and we're here during Expedition 65, and
I'm Megan MacArthur, one of the flight engineers for the mission. And you probably know we have a cargo mission coming up real soon, SpaceX 22. And I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. I think it's going to affect our pace and everything that we've got going on. Aki, you've seen this before. You captured actually the first cargo resupply mission from Dragon about 9 years ago. So tell me, what was that like?
Yeah, 9 years ago. That's a long, long time ago. Well, that was my first time to actually capture a cargo vehicle with a robotic arm, and so it was a horrifying 2 minutes, you know, holding my breath and trying to capture it without making any mistakes.
This cargo Dragon will be actually a little bit different. So what's different about this one?
This time it's just going to dock. So without the help of the robotic arm, it's going to automatically dock to the actual space station.
Of course, it will be similar to our crewed vehicle that we came up in, so everything should look pretty much the same. Just there won't be people, there'll be cargo and a lot of science experiments. Some of the science samples will arrive in powered payload lockers, so they can be frozen temperatures. But some of the samples will arrive in this cooler type of bag, which is called a double cold bag. It's a super insulated bag, and we put ice bricks in there along with the samples to keep them at the right temperature. So I'll show you what that looks like.
Everything is floating in space, man.
Oh, looks like we have a stowaway.
Oh, man.
These are the ice bricks, and they can maintain a temperature between minus 32 and
Looks
plus
so
37 Celsius. They're just room temperature right now, or I wouldn't be holding them with bare hands. But you can see we would fill that up with the ice bricks as well
Everything
as
is
the samples.
floating.
We also send samples home this way, and they have a certain amount of time that they will stay at temperature before they're recovered by the team on the ground. You know I'm excited about the tardigrades. I told you about the water bears. Super excited about that. They're little microscopic creatures that can survive in extreme environments. And the cell science for experiment is looking at what can we see by looking at their genes? How do they survive and adapt to extreme environments? And then the hope is that that information can be used to look at stress factors in humans when we're living in space. Another one I think is really exciting that has benefits both for us in space but also on Earth is a new ultrasound experiment, the butterfly ultrasound. And it's looking at portable ultrasound technology with mobile tech. Some really exciting stuff that kind of covers a big spectrum.
Okay, so many interesting things are going in, and you can see it
And
from
that was
all
NASA
that.
astronaut Megan MacArthur and JAXA astronaut Aki Hoshide aboard the International Space Station. And welcome into the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center here in Houston, Texas. The team of flight controllers in Mission Control Houston today is being led by Flight Director Rebecca Wingfield. The teams here in Mission Control will really jump into action tomorrow night into Saturday morning as Cargo Dragon approaches the International Space Station and enters the approach ellipsoid, which we like to think of as an imaginary sphere around the space station that helps us monitor the approach and departure of visiting vehicles. There are currently 7 crew members living and working aboard the International Space Station. Expedition 65 consists of NASA astronauts Shane Kimbrough, Megan MacArthur, and Mark Vandehei, Roscosmos cosmonauts Pyotr Dubrov and Oleg Novitsky, Aki Hoshide of JAXA, and Thomas Pesquet of the European Space Agency. One major component flying in Dragon's trunk today is the first pair of Boeing-made IROSA solar arrays, which will be installed to the 2B and 4B channels of the P6 truss by Thomas Pesquet and Shane Kimbrough over 2 spacewalks planned for June 16th and June 20th. This will be the first of 3 deliveries of these IROSA solar arrays. There will be 6 in all to upgrade and augment the power for the 6 of 8 power channels on the station. As Crew Dragon approaches the International Space Station in the morning hours on June 5th, NASA astronauts Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur will be monitoring the arrival from the station's cupola. And once Dragon arrives to the station, it will dock to the Zenith port on the space-facing side of the station's Harmony module and will join 4 other spacecrafts: Crew Dragon, Cygnus 15, the Soyuz MS-18, and Progress 77. Cargo Dragon will remain attached
ISS
to the
is
International
big.
Space Station for about 1 month before being packed up with critical science and supplies and will splash down in the Atlantic Ocean for that science to be analyzed back here on Earth. Again, everything is still a go from here in Mission Control Houston, and we're looking forward to welcoming another vehicle to the International Space Station. So for now, we'll head back out to Kennedy. Megan.
It is now T-minus 8 minutes and counting until liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket and Cargo Dragon on the next resupply mission to the International Space Station. Now, you heard Courtney just mention the new solar arrays again. So let's take some time to go more in depth about those because they're really important to the station and what happens there. Take a look at your screen now. This is the first pair of the new Boeing-made ISS rollout solar arrays known as IROSA. They are compact panels you see there that roll open like a huge yoga mat, 63 by 20 feet each. Here they are inside the space station processing facility at the Kennedy Space Center before being packed inside Dragon. The space station currently has 8 pairs of solar arrays. The oldest pair has been in use for more than 20 years. The 2 new solar arrays, plus 4 more to be delivered later, will produce a total of more than 120 kilowatts of electricity. That is enough to power more than 40 U.S. homes. Once combined with the 8 original arrays, the new ones will boost power to the station up to 30%, maximizing use for the orbiting lab for many years to come.
And
And
guys,
these two new solar arrays, like Courtney said, are going to be installed this summer. Now let's head back over to Shiva for an update.
so, okay, let's get an update right now.
Thanks, Megan. We're just over T-minus 7 minutes to go. The SpaceX team currently working no significant issues with the vehicles. At this point, Rocket Propellant 1 fuel is nearly fully loaded on the first stage, completely loaded on the second stage. Liquid oxygen loading is underway on both of the stages as well, and that'll complete at about T-minus 2 minutes to launch. We're also loading helium gas into both of the stages. Falcon 9 uses helium as a pressurant, that's to backfill the propellant tanks as we consume liquid oxygen in RP1 by the Merlin engines during ascent. The helium loading began before the webcast went live and will continue to top it off until about 1.5 minutes before launch. Now, to make sure that the engine startup goes well, we also perform what's called engine chill. It started at about T-minus 7 minutes. We flow a small amount of that super chilled liquid oxygen into the Merlin engine turbopumps, and we do that to avoid thermal shock to the mechanical components once we get that
Wow.
full flow of super chilled liquid oxygen on engine start. Dragon
And
also began its startup sequence at T-minus 35 minutes when it coordinated timing with the Falcon 9. It's currently undergoing a set of vehicle health checks, with its next major milestone happening just before liftoff, when it'll transition to internal battery power. Now, the range is standing by, ready to support today's mission. Launch weather is continuing to trend favorably. We had a 60% chance of go, and we're still continuing to monitor some of those clouds and precipitation in the area.
Okay.
So with that, the launch team, Falcon 9, Dragon, the range, all looking good. Weather also trending good. And at about T-minus 5 minutes to go, I'm now joined by Marie to help me walk through these final moments of the terminal count. Marie?
Exactly.
Yeah, Shiva, as you said, weather trending in the better direction. It was a little bit hairy for a couple minutes there. Within the last, I want to say maybe 13 minutes or so, it was right around T-minus 19 or 18 minutes. We heard about some lightning strikes in the area, not coming within that 10-mile radius of the pad, but that was a watch item. It looks like they're not expecting lightning to be an issue to come that close. And that cell that I mentioned to the south of the pad looks like
Dragon has
there's going to be a
transitioned
little bit
to
more
configure for
separation
terminal count.
between that.
Okay, it's configured for internal count, and
Little
guys,
bit more
this vehicle is actually new. You can see the booster and everything is new in this vehicle. So yeah, that's a thing to note.
Power. Again, as Shiva mentioned, the team has already conducted its pre-launch engine chill. Again, this is when SpaceX injects a small amount of super chilled liquid oxygen to prepare those Merlin engines inside the
Yes,
first
Rehan, actually, the Dracos, we don't need an abort motor for these kind of things yet. So Draco thrusters are missing, and obviously those fins are also missing on this if you have logged closely. Because all those things, the fins as well as the Draco thrusters are there only to support the abort if happens for a crew missions. Yeah, that is the case.
Call out there as well for strong back retract. The strong back is the truss structure next to Falcon 9 that provides propellants and power to the vehicle. So you can see the clamp arms are opening around the second stage, and the strong back will retract a couple of degrees away from the vertical position, helping to clear the way for Falcon 9's ascent. In these last few minutes, Falcon 9 is performing a set of health checks on its primary communications, avionics, and propulsion systems in preparation for flight. We'll continue to hear call-outs that the engines are sufficiently chilled in, and for some of these milestones that are coming up next. And there you can see the strong back starting its retraction away from the vertical position.
Hi everyone. Just as they said, like for the solar arrays, guys, that it's producing around 120 kilowatt of powers, right? But the thing is that solar panels are not very effective in this production. The efficiency is around 30% max. That's it.
Ever so slightly from the Falcon 9 rocket, it will retract fully.
Bleed verification.
Just as we get to the moment of liftoff to allow for Falcon 9 to clear the pad. Also happening now are some checks of the second stage thrust vector control actuators. That is often referred to as an engine wiggle test, and this is when SpaceX moves the thrust nozzles. And we just heard the call for the stage 1 LOX load complete. Again, that engine wiggle test happening now to make sure that the guidance hardware is go for flight. SpaceX will do the exact same checkouts on the first stage engines, and that will happen just a few seconds before ignition.
And it is happening. We are around 2 minutes and 15 seconds until the launch.
First stage LOX load complete. Next major activity here will be second stage LOX load complete. Usually happens around the T-minus 2 minute mark, and that wraps up propellant loading for Falcon 9 until liftoff.
We do see some clouds here. Obviously, that shouldn't be a concern for this vehicle right now.
To perform final health checks.
Stage 2
make sure
LOX
all
load complete.
of its systems. To make sure all of its systems are ready to go for
Dragon is in
ascent
auto
and
idle.
rendezvous with the International Space Station. Weather continuing to trend favorably as Dragon transitions into its ascent state.
Finally, okay. So, uh, yes, I can't understand Russian, sorry, but right now this is a Cargo Dragon mission and we are ready for the flight. We are T minus 1 minute until the liftoff, and right now the Falcon 9 is actually clearing its vents or pipes of the liquid oxygen.
As we are approaching the T minus 1 minute mark when Dragon will transition to internal power.
It's happening, guys. Just sit back and relax. The vehicle is in startup now.
Falcon 9's in startup.
Let's
Dragon
just
is in countdown.
have this vehicle go up into the sky to the station. T minus 47 seconds until this beauty
LD, go for
liftoff.
launch.
The launch director.
And
Launch director pulled
Stage
go
2,
for
press for
launch.
flight.
So with that, all systems are currently go for just over T minus 30 seconds to liftoff.
T minus 30 seconds.
T minus 30.
And at T0, the rocket will be released from the hold down clamps at the pad. And as I mentioned earlier, that strong back right next to the rocket will retract the rest of the way, clearing the way for liftoff.
Stage 1, press for
T
flight.
minus 15,
15 seconds.
14, 13,
Falcon 9 is
12,
configured for flight.
11, 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Here we have
3,
it.
2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Ignition.
Liftoff.
And liftoff of the 22nd SpaceX Cargo
There you
Resupply
go.
mission, bringing new solar arrays to the
Wow.
International Space Station.
Man, this is some
Stage 1, propulsion
next level
pump.
stuff. Everything is looking good with the vehicle. Yes, that flames going up on the vehicle is completely nominal. That happens because the pressure around it actually lowers down. Everything is looking good right now. We are having a great view on the show, on the sky, and yes, we can see the onboard camera.
T plus 40 seconds
Wow.
into flight. Awesome shot looking
Power and
back
telemetry nominal.
at the Cape where Falcon 9 has launched. We're coming up on the next major milestone. That's the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
And it has crossed the
when
clouds.
Falcon 9 is
Stresses on the
supersonic.
vehicle will be the highest.
Wow, man, see the view. This is so beautiful. It actually just
Excellent
went
view.
through this clouds and we were able to
So
get
in
the onboard
preparation
camera.
for maximum aerodynamic pressure, we throttled down those Merlin 1D engines. Now that we're through that point, we'll throttle back up and continue on to the next of our sequence of events. We have several happening in rapid succession. That'll be main engine cutoff,
Space
followed by
incoming.
a stage separation. Then we'll have a first stage flip maneuver, second engine start number 1, and then a boost back burn on the first stage. Now, main engine cutoff, or MECO, that's where all 9 of the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage will shut down. That's followed shortly after by stage separation, when both the first and
back
second
is chilling.
stages will separate. From there, the
They
first
have-
stage will flip to prepare itself for entry. A few seconds later, the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage will ignite to boost the Dragon into a low Earth orbit. That's called SES-1. And then finally, on the first stage, we'll have boost back burn start to slow down the first stage.
They
in
have done
preparation for
something with the
re-entry.
cameras
So
though,
again,
I
those
should
5
say
events,
that.
MECO, stage separation, first stage flip maneuver, second engine start, and then the boost back burn, all coming up just in
Wow.
under 10 seconds.
Now
from
things are looking great. Yes, the exposure was having some problem, but now it is good. We should be seeing the MECO as well as the stage separation now. Although the tracking camera can't see anything, but we do
MECO.
have MECO, and
Stage separation confirmed.
there you have it, guys. Wow. Okay, so and we
back,
have ignition. That's what we wanted.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
Wow. That was so cool. Did you just see that
So successful
camera
Merlin vacuum
from
engine startup. First
the
stage,
stage
has
one?
begun its boost back burn. That burn expected to last about 30 or so seconds. Here's a shot of the second stage Merlin vacuum nozzle. You can see it starting to heat up as we begin this burn. The second stage will continue to burn here for several minutes until about the T plus 8 minute mark.
Okay.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
Boost back is boost back
If you're just
shutdown.
joining us, welcome. You're
Okay.
watching a live webcast for the 22nd Commercial Resupply mission to the International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 17th launch of the year, and we are flying a cargo configuration of our New Dragon spacecraft. On the right-hand side of your screen is the second stage, which is carrying the Dragon spacecraft into orbit.
Well, it was not a
On the
typical
left-hand side of
flight
your
profile
screen, you
today.
can see
We had a
Falcon 9's
boost
first
back
stage
burn
with the
also.
grid fins extending. It just completed its boost back burn and is making its way back to our drone ship.
So basically,
now,
it was
rocket
missing
has
the
to do
drone
more
ship.
than
Okay,
just go
cool.
up. It has to go sideways really fast. At liftoff, gravity is pulling straight down on the rocket, but as we ascend, we tilt the engines. That's called gimbaling, and that begins to turn the rocket horizontally. We're still going up, but we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. That maneuver is called a gravity turn. The rocket typically needs to go about 7.5 kilometers per second, or about 17,500 miles an hour, to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and to get into orbit. So that's what the second stage is doing right now.
Exactly.
Now, the first stage, in order to make its way back to our drone ship, named, of course, I Still Love You, it has 2 more burns to do. First is an entry burn. It'll ignite 3 of its Merlin 1 engines. That'll help to slow it down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. And then the next activity will happen much closer to the drone ship. That is the landing burn. Will ignite just the single center Merlin engine to bring the vehicle's speed rapidly down to 0. You can see the grid fins that are extended on the left-hand side of your screen. We use those for atmospheric control. They help steer the Falcon 9 to make sure we make our way back to that drone ship as we get into the thicker parts of the Earth's atmosphere. And you'll occasionally see periodic bursts of a white gas like that. That's our attitude control system, giving us little corrections to our attitude. The next major event coming up here for the first stage is entry burn. 3 of the Merlin 1D engines will ignite. Second stage burn continuing to look nominal. Second stage has a little ways to go. It won't be done with this burn until about the T+8 minute mark.
Exactly. And exactly. So the thing which is right now happening is that the stage 1 is preparing to perform the entry burn, and
Yes, it's safe.
okay, everything is looking good right now. We can see the speed of the stage 1 also in the
Stage
telemetry
1
here.
entry burn startup.
And now the speed is rapidly decreasing.
Merlin 1D engines on the first stage igniting to reduce the vehicle's velocity. You can see that on the bottom left corner of your screen. This burn expected to last about 20 seconds. So from here, the grid fins will continue to take the first stage towards our drone ship stationed out in the Atlantic Ocean. At this point, T+6.5 minutes into flight, second stage is making its way to the initial orbit to drop off the Cargo Dragon spacecraft. And, if you're just joining us, welcome. On your screen is a live view of Falcon 9's first stage on the left. The second stage on the right, we had an on-time liftoff at 1:29 p.m. Eastern Time. Nominal ascent so far.
So Wildflower is actually the problem with the drone ship only. Actually, there's not a problem with the the camera shaking. Actually, the drone ship is itself shaking. So right now, wow, guys, just see that
down to 0.
Mark effects. See that it is just crossing the sound barrier, and we could see that effects coming in. We are not losing the speeds here. And everything is looking good. We have the landing burn.
To the drone ship, we
can see the
our 4 symmetric landing legs around the
landing
base of the first stage.
drone ship also.
Nice touchdown on that drone ship. You can see a shot of that on the right-hand side of your screen.
Wow, man! See how cool does it look when it maneuvers slowly and steadily to the drone ship. And okay, there you have it every time.
Picture perfect landing of that Falcon 9 for the first stage. First landing for this first stage. 86 successful recovery overall for SpaceX. Fantastic. Now coming up shortly, second stage is not done. It will be coming up on second engine cutoff. About under 30 seconds from now. It's been burning that whole time since stage separation to bring the 7,000 pounds of cargo into the initial orbit around our planet. And you can see we're getting close to orbital velocity.
We are coming in hot with this one. Looking good. It's actually going really fast, and we could feel with this shot here. I don't know why with this camera shot we could feel the velocity. I don't know why. And we have the Seco. We have to hear
Shutdown
about
of the
the
second stage
nominal
engine. From here,
orbit.
we'll be looking at telemetry, make sure we are in the intended orbit.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And we have a confirmation.
Fantastic. So it's at the second stage, has just one major task left. It is commanding separation of the Dragon spacecraft just a few minutes from now. Until separation, the second stage will be making some small adjustments during this coast prior to Dragon separation. And we're hoping to have video, there's some video, into the unpressurized cargo section of Dragon. This video from the top of the second stage. We got a good look there at the new rollout solar arrays that Cargo Dragon is bringing to the International Space Station.
I know Nemo from Brazil.
So separation of the Dragon spacecraft expected at about T+12 minutes.
We are around 2 minutes until the
bit of a
separation
toast here
happens.
for ground operators in mission control behind me to ensure that the vehicle is in the right configuration, that there's no conditions that we may want to watch out for after separation. But Dragon and the Stage 2 right now in orbit.
Okay, let's just
after that separation
have it
event, which hopefully
and
we'll get a
see
view
it
like this
deploy,
of
and then
Dragon
we'll
gently
talk
floating
about all
away.
the discussion happening in
The
this
Dragon
chat.
spacecraft will begin to perform some of its own checkouts. Dragon is equipped with 12 service section Draco thrusters that are used primarily for attitude control and proximity next to the space station. It's also got 4 Draco thrusters on the top of the vehicle underneath its nose cone that we use for our thrust maneuvers to help us rendezvous with the International Space Station. So again, successful ascent, successful recovery of our first stage just a few minutes ago. You're looking at a live shot into the Cargo Dragon unpressurized section from the second stage that is in orbit around our planet. Our next major activity coming up shortly, that is Dragon separation from Falcon 9's second stage.
Guys, just look at the orbit also right now. The altitude says 200 kilometers. So yes, the nominal, the parking orbit, I should say, it's around like that only, 200 kilometers circular if I'm not wrong. And from there it performs the home and transfer to the
about
ISS.
This Dragon spacecraft. If you followed our first version of Dragon, you'd know that it had deployable solar arrays. This version of Dragon has conformal solar arrays on the body of the spacecraft. So those are mounted along the exterior panel of the trunk that we're looking into right now. Those provide power for the spacecraft as it makes its way to the space station.
We should be having the separation now.
Dragon separation confirmed.
And there you have where it looks wonderful from here.
Lovely planet Earth on the left-hand side. Dragon floating away. You can see the rollout solar arrays from this view atop Falcon 9 second stage, watching Dragon gently float away.
Those are the
So
rollout
again,
solar
activities
arrays.
coming up for Dragon. It will begin its service section Draco checkouts, followed shortly after that by the nose cone
Expected loss of signal.
opening.
Yeah, we need to wait for
that's
that.
gonna complete my coverage here from Hawthorne. But why don't we check in with Courtney at the Johnson Space Center?
Oh,
in
we
Houston.
can
Courtney?
see those thrusters firing, guys. Whoa, that was a treat to watch. I must say that.
Thanks, Shiva. Again, just standing by for that nose clone deploy.
Yeah. Once it deploys, then we will discuss whatever you want to discuss right now.
The nose cone deploy uncovers the 4 forward bulkhead thrusters, which Dragon will use for its major burn maneuvers coming up.
Why is there always signal loss when the first stage lands on the platform? I'll explain the thing with that signal loss, Alex. Actually, there's not a very, complex answer to it. It's just that the signal, the tether or the communication antenna just wiggles. So it is not able to properly transmit, and that's why we have that. Waiting for the nose cone to deploy here, but okay, now we can, I think.
Nose cone hooks are driving now.
Okay. The nose cone will take some time to deploy. It's driving now, which means that it is slowly opening. I think it's take around, I don't know, I'm not sure about it, but it takes few minutes to open. But yeah, so today's mission was, so
and the hooks are halfway open, again standing by for them to be fully open.
Electrical interference from this flames as well. Yes, Wildflower, you are absolutely correct. Although the flames, they can actually work out that issue. I don't know. Maybe they see, the thing is they are still getting the that feed, and if they have to employ some that complex changes in the drone ship just to get that lag free signal, I don't think so it would make any sense as such. But yeah, they can improve on that. There is something to improve, at least we can say that. But talking about the flame interference,
again standing by for nose cone deploy. That nose cone will stay open in the position until the very end of the mission.
okay, so they can use just go out of the range of the flames, maybe maybe deploy antenna which is underground, use a submarine's antenna. Well, don't know.
The first set of nose cone hooks are open, and the second set are starting to open now.
Please sing us the, okay, so right now the nose cone is being deployed. If you are just coming in for the space talks here, we'll do the space talks, but right now the nose cones is deploying, waiting for that. And we could actually see the second stage, which is still in the orbit but will be deorbited, and then it will burn up in the atmosphere probably. We can see that cargo dragon.
Again, once the nose cone is open, it will stay in that position until the very end of its mission, closing prior to re-entry to provide some additional protection to some hardware during re-entry.
Okay. Yes, it's a bad bot in testing phase. I need to train him so that he moderates the chat as well as. Okay. Is there not any attempt to do that? You can say that it's not very, fixing the signal loss could be a problem. I would say that it's not a big problem to solve, but if it is, having some problems with the, just having that proper signal to come out of the drone ship, and we need to employ some complex mechanisms to do that, they won't do that because it's a rocket, and that is a drone ship. And whatever, if they have to employ new
confirmation of nose cone deploy, and this nose cone deploy will uncover those 4 bulkhead thrusters, and that's what Dragon will use for its major burns coming up throughout the next day to catch up with the space station before docking.
Exactly.
Acquisition signal Gunhilly.
We will be able to see the landing footage. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Shashank, you are right. That's what I was trying to say. It does not make any sense to have just a 1 to 2 seconds of feed. Because first of all, it is concerned with the rockets, and whatever, if you have to change a single piece of software only, I would say like this. And we have a confirmation of nose cone deployment. First, let me just tell you about that first. Okay. Nose cones are deployed right now, and that means the thrusters, the bulkhead thrusters are
deploy now confirmed. Now joining me on the phone is manager of the International Space Station Office for Systems Engineering and Integration, Jeff Aaron.
Okay, so we can actually now talk about the things which we want to talk. the major mission has been confirmed and is now coasting towards its intended orbit and trying to rendezvous with the space station. So yeah, I was telling that the signals 1 to 2 seconds, first of all, does not make any sense right now to employ upgrade as such. They need to do what is very necessary, that having a strong signal for the landing footage. I mean, when the Dragon is coming back to the drone ship, they need to employ some strong signal that so that it does not lose any feed. That is a good thing, because that makes sense. First of all, not because that it just lands on the drone ship, we don't need to see that landing footage. It is just that if we have some footage in front of you, it's good for PR, first point. Second of all, and if something goes wrong during the landing, we could see it, what actually went wrong, and video actually helps a lot to identify the failure, the point of failure. So yes, that is the case. And talking about any upgradation, yes, I was telling that even if you have to change just a line of code in a rocket software or whatever in spacecraft, just a line of code, you need to present at least 6 pages of something. I don't know what something is, but you need to have some 6 pages of to change just one line of code. That's what happened during the space shuttle era. I don't know what is the case with right now, but yeah, the rockets are actually very complex and everything needs to be thoroughly checked. So I think they will have that scrutiny till now also. That's just a one line of code and they have to submit like 6 pages of report for that. So yeah, that is the case. And talking about Courtney says, if you don't sing a space shanty, if I'm unsubbing and crying, I'm not a singer here. So sorry, Courtney, I won't be able to, prove your wish. Okay. Right now, okay, so what else were we talking about? There were any something. Yes, we were talking about, I could see that people were talking about the lightning in during the rocket's ascent. Yes, lightning actually affects. See, I don't remember any case when lightning has struck with the rocket. If you do remember, if you do know, just write in the chat. That would be a good piece for my knowledge. But I don't remember whether it has happened before, whether a lightning has struck a rocket. Coming to what would happen when a lightning would struck a rocket, I don't think so anything as such bad will happen, because it happens on the aircraft every day. Not every day, but usually it happens mostly on the aircrafts, the airplanes. And since it is of metal, it is made up of metal, it is more prone to have those the electric currents going through it, because electric current has this property which actually makes them susceptible to follow a path which has less resistance, and metal has that. So if you give electricity a choice between moving through the air and moving through the metal, it will obviously choose metal. So whenever the aircraft is flying in a stormy condition, it is very, very, very prone to lightning, because lightning will itself prefer to use that as a path. Okay, so talking about lightning, yes, again, it will use the thing just as a path, nothing to create some havoc on the spacecraft or on the aircraft, to be particular. And aircraft designers know that problem. That's why they design it to be just conductive. The material outside is just conductive, so that any lightning just don't get inside. It just crosses through the surface and then go past it. So yeah, talking about the rockets, rockets has some critical components with it, right? And you can make it lightning proof, but still it's a rocket. It is a rocket. It's a very, very complex system out there, and you don't want to take any risk. So Apollo 12 में हुआ था lightning incident. Okay, I think lightning struck the Apollo 12 rocket. Yes, 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 yes. I do remember now, right now. Messed up some sensors. Yes, can see that's what I'm talking about. You need to make the rocket fully, coated with the metal as such, so that it does not, and insulation is not a thing which they can, use, because we know that fuel tanks are there which need some cryogenic temperatures, and which need some, radiation, the temperature just radiating out of the fuel tank, some sort of things need to be taken into account, so they just simply can't use any insulation on the fuel tanks, so that it does not mess up with the flight avionics. Yes, they could use the insulations on the flight avionics, but you don't want to play with lightning. It's a very nasty thing, right? Very high voltage, and it could mess some serious, could do some serious damage, and $1 million project, $1 million, even $1 billion satellites or whatever it is, can go to waste just because of a lightning. So you don't want that to happen. So yeah. Russia has been able to get some quick rendezvous in under 30 minutes. Not under 30 minutes. Is the quickest they were able to do was around 3 hours, if I'm not wrong. 30 minutes is too fast to for a rendezvous to happen. And what is right now going on? Let's just listen it once.
Relocate the the Crew 2 vehicle from the Node 2 forward port to the Node 2 Zenith port, which will enable the launch and docking of the OFT-2 crew demonstration vehicle near the end of July, the first part of August. So yes, a very busy, exciting time for us.
All right, Jeff, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And back here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, flight controllers are monitoring the systems on the station itself ahead of Dragon's arrival Saturday morning. Again, once Dragon crosses that approach ellipsoid, which we see as an imaginary sphere around the station, flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston will begin joint operations with SpaceX teams over in Hawthorne, California. NASA astronauts Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur will be monitoring the approach and arrival of Dragon with the planned docking Saturday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Fine. It does not actually have
Kimbrough will
some.
begin hatch operations to open the hatches between the International Space Station and Cargo Dragon. And again, everything is still on track in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, so that'll do it for us here in Mission Control Houston. Now back over to Kennedy. Megan?
Fine. Okay, so yes, ISS within 10 minutes. Till the landing on ISS, no, Dobby, no. Yes, and I have heard about the James Webb Telescope. Talking about a good question raised by Wildflower, isn't the metal body essentially acting like a Faraday cage? Protecting the electronics? Yes, it does. But again, I'm saying we don't know what potential difference happens between just the metallic body and avionics. We don't want any of that. Why to take risks? So that is the case here. Okay, yeah, we need to see this, the rewind.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
And liftoff of the 22nd SpaceX cargo resupply mission, bringing new solar arrays to the International Space Station.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
And there you have it. So this is what we look, what the Earth looks from the space right now, and you can see that. Okay, so yes, Wildflower, that should have answered your question. It is not with the, you are right that it will take the metallic path only, and it does not want to, just have some interference with the avionics. But the flight, again, I'm saying, potential difference can happen, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, let me just switch over to the NASA stream, so that we just keep talking and you just keep seeing what is actually happening, right? Just for fun. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Potential difference could be created, we never know, and why to take risk. So that is the case. Maybe when the flights are more routine to the IS, maybe to the space, at that time we don't have to worry about these kind of a things. Maybe just an SSTO, we just make an SSTO kind of a thing. That actually makes very sense when the flights are actually very routine. SSTO right now does not make any sense because we have a chemical rockets. Why SSTO does not make any sense? Because we have chemical rockets right now. Once we have nuclear rockets, I am really very fond of nuclear rockets, and I want them to be a reality. A good thrust nuclear rocket, I want that to be a reality, because that could mean that we can just simply make one SSTO, one single stage to the orbit, because we don't have to carry so much of fuel with us, just because the energy content of nuclear is more than the chemical energy. Nuclear energy is always more than the chemical energy. So you don't need such a big amount of fuels carrying up again with yourself to the space. You can carry a small core that would do the same job. And once that happens, SSTO would be great. And that's why again I'm coming into that point. That's why the ULA's smart reusability system also makes sense. If you don't know, they have this reusability system that they called smart. They have this full form also, but I don't remember. But yeah, that's what they call it. Okay. Yeah. What they do in that, they will be employing that in Vulcan rocket, and what they will be doing, they will actually be recovering just the engine parts from the first stage and not the full first stage. And if you ask me whether does that make any sense for us, yes, it does make sense, because first of all, the engines are the the most expensive ones. And I do have some problem. Do I have some problem here? Or is it everything is good, right? Should be good. Okay. Yeah, we are good. What are your thoughts about the ion thrusters? I love them. The only problem, the energy density. Yes, the energy content. Shashank Desai, you got the right word. The energy content, the energy density. The energy density of nuclear is more than the chemical one. So yeah. And talking about the, what was I talking about? What was I talking about? Yes, the smart reusability system. In ULA's Vulcan, they won't be landing it on a drone ship. They will be just be recovering the engine part there, and they will be separating it from the whole fuel tank portion, separating it, deploying the heat shield, and then they will be recovering it in mid-air, just like what Rocket Lab is planning to do. Okay, why does it make sense if you ask me? Because we are not living in a SSTO environment right now. It will save on some cost, but it won't increase the turnover time, because you actually have to make the fuel tanks also. Okay, talking about that, you ask me why SpaceX then employed this strategy of having whole first stage recovered, because then they have to transport it also all the way back. They need to actually make a drone ship for it. They have to transport it back. That's not the case with the Vulcan rocket. Why did they do that? The simple answer is reusability plus turnoverability. SpaceX actually needs to increase their launch capability. ULA, I don't think so had that much of plan right now, so they want to increase the launch capability, the launch turnover time, and yes, then it makes sense to recover the whole booster. Otherwise, you can go with the engines also. So yeah. Ion thrusters do a great job in holding a satellite in orbit against the atmospheric drag. It is the life savior for the CubeSats, you can say, because it can increase their life. Typically speaking, CubeSats have this life of around maybe 1 year to maximum 5 years, if they don't have any propulsion system in place with them. So yeah, you need to have some propulsion system, and that is the thing here. I love ion thrusters, but again, thrust is an issue with them. Again, talking to give you a scenario, why am I talking about the thrust as an issue with them? Okay, so this China is actually planning to launch one Neptune orbiter. Okay, they're not just going to the Neptune flyby, they're literally going for a Neptune orbiter. And once NASA is also planning for one Neptune orbiter, but I don't know, there are some rumors floating around that their Neptune orbiter, the China's Neptune orbiter will be faster, and we'll also have some modules which will go inside the atmosphere of Neptune, and we'll study that too. So that would be a pretty interesting mission to see. Okay, coming back to the ion thrusters. Why am I saying there is an issue with the thrust? Neptune is very far away. CNSA, the China, will be launching it for a gravity assist from Jupiter. Jupiter will accelerate up so that it reaches faster. That's what Jupiter is there for. I mean, it's a big gas giant. It has loads of gravity on it, and it can act as a pretty good gravity assist planet out there. So yeah, it will be using the gravity assist of Jupiter, and then I will be arriving on Neptune. The journey will take around 8 years or so. Okay, out of these 8 years, there will be 1 year dedicated to do a constant deceleration burn with the ion thrusters, because it is going too fast. The Jupiter they have taken the assist from the Jupiter, and now they are going too fast, and obviously you can't have all such a big payload going to the Jupiter Neptune with the chemical rocket there. You need to make the spacecraft as small as possible with the lots of capability. Then you go with the ion thrusters. Ion thrusters do a great job. They are reliable. They are not susceptible to any change as such. So yeah, but they do not produce such thrust. That's why it really needs to do 1 year of deceleration, man. That is so cool also to think about, and so complex also, because there will be one engine which will be burning for like a year to slow itself down so that it can enter the Neptune orbit. Wow. Okay, I talked a lot about that. Okay, tried to post this when it went down. The airplane is pretty cool with lightning. Head just funnels through the skin with little resistance, continues on its path. Yes, wildfire. It actually, that's what. But that's why I actually made a comeback with an SSTO. Why I said why the SSTO actually came up to my mind, because aircraft is nothing but an SSTO, right? Once you have an SSTO, once you don't have those separable stages, you can actually try to insulate and make the that cage like structure in which the electricity almost flows. Once that is possible, so once we have an SSTO, then I don't think so we will have any problem with the lightning strike as such. Why don't we send probes to the Venus? It is rumored that it had nicer oceans and a habitable planet like, so we send probes to the Venus. Venus. Okay, talking about Venus, NASA has just approved 2 Venus missions to be launched in 2024. The Da Vinci probe and one more. I don't remember right now, but there is one more. If anyone can just type in, if anyone of you know what was the NASA's, just yesterday they announced 2 missions to the Venus, and yes, people are very keen to observe the Venus, because first of all, it's not a very habitable planet as such, because it does have an atmosphere, it does have a magnetic field, but it's a very hot, very hot. The hottest planet in the solar system is Venus, not Mercury, just because of its atmosphere. And yes, it rains sulfuric acid there. You don't want to go out in the in the rain. You won't enjoy it. It will be very nasty. So yeah, talking about that only, the atmosphere has revealed last year that there is one phosphine gas coming out of it. And phosphine gas is a, you can say, a biogas, is an indicator of something bio thingy there. Yes, phosphine can happen with some natural, with natural processes happening in the Venus, but still we detected phosphine and it's worth checking it out now, because we don't know whether it was from the natural causes as such, the non-living one or the living one. Because if there are some living beings on Venus, that will be a hell of a surprise for us, because then we will know that there is one organism that can survive and flourish in Venus, on Venus, more particularly on Venus's atmosphere, because phosphine has been detected on the atmosphere. Maybe there is, and scientists have, this what do I say, research, yeah, research that there is one habitable region in the atmosphere. Microorganisms can flourish on that belt of atmosphere. So yes, there is something which we need to worth checking out. Talking about Venus, we have like 3 missions now onto Venus that I can remember right now. 2 from NASA's and 1 from India, the Shukrayaan 1, that's an orbiter mission. And yes, that is planned. That was the first mission which was planned, the Venus mission, when nobody was interested as such on Venus, when this phosphine discovery was also not taken into account. So now we have phosphine. Now the Shukrayaan is also should be launched by 2024, because that's a launch window, obviously. And other thing is that you have to go there. You have to go there. Otherwise, did Tim Dodd spacecraft reach Venus? He did the SSTO mission. If I'm I think he did. I haven't seen the whole stream that he did, although that is not even available on YouTube, because YouTube doesn't support 12-hour or more a lost stream which is longer than 12 hours. So yeah. Veritas. Okay, yeah, the other Venus probe is Veritas. I remember it now. So exactly. Okay, Dobby, you can go. I don't know if anyone read and space Larry Niven's compilation of short stories and the integral tree. The potential for living in the atmosphere remind me of that story. See, there is one region where the atmosphere is not too harsh, and that has those components on it, because obviously the Venus has atmosphere, and that atmosphere actually traps most of the things which can flourish the life. Only problem why the life is not flourishing on Venus is its extreme environment, and when you go up in the atmosphere, that environment tends to fade out, as what happens in any atmosphere. When you go up, atmosphere becomes less and less dense. The situation becomes more favorable as the denser gases settle down in the lower part of the atmosphere, and you have those livable things happening there. So we don't know, we haven't sent many spacecrafts to Venus yet. Talking about the spacecrafts to Venus, NASA is also planning for one Venus rover or Venus lander. I don't remember, but they are going to the surface. There have been proposals for that. People will be using literally. Why am I saying? Because there was some competition also to make a mechanical computer, because obviously on Venus you can't have the normal computers running, because the temperature is so extreme. Now, since you can't have the normal computers running, now you have to go back to the basics. The 18th, 19th century, when you used to have those mechanical computers, yeah, we need to go back to those. We need to design a mechanical computer which can do some calculations and then can transmit signal also. So that's a very big challenge for them. Venus's atmosphere don't welcome it even if you land on it. Landing is not as tough because it has a great atmosphere. It's a very dense atmosphere. People who have played KSP know that Eve landing is the easiest of all, and yeah, that is not a problem. The problem is its harsh environment, and we have to deal with it. So yeah, that is the case here. If you have any other questions or something to discuss about, we can do. Otherwise, we can now end the stream. Men of Steel, Women of Clinics. Just you guys find it online. It's out there, free somewhere. It must be free somewhere. But again, I'm just saying that those are the pros which are being sent, and looking forward to the nuclear propulsion. I'm a big fan of nuclear propulsion, although ironically speaking, I haven't read about how the nuclear propulsion works, but seeing the capabilities it provides, and you know, the physics laws it breaks for the current the chemical rockets, it's an ideal component, because some certain physics law says that you actually can't have a thrust. You have a limit to what you can have as a thrust and efficiency for a rocket engine, but there is no theoretically any limit on nuclear engines. It's all in the physics, not any breaking of the laws as such. It's just that when it comes to nuclear propulsion, the laws changes. Just that the chemical propulsion is something else, and nuclear is something else. So yes. Hypothesis. Oh, talking about some superhumans, I've been watching the Boys recently, and I liked it. I just finished the season. In this, if you have watched it, it's on available on Amazon Prime Video. And not recommended for children though, but still, it's a good thing to watch. Good storytelling. Yeah. Okay, I think now with that I can end the stream. I think so. If you don't have any other thing to discuss right now, although talking about as such any Twitter updates, no. The only thing which we had right now was the news, which I must say was those Venus missions which were announced yesterday. Okay, so there is some update from the Decatur rocket factory. The first Vulcan Centaur flight vehicles, logs, and LNG tanks are complete and moving on to circumferential stir welding. Again, I feel, what do I say? Sorry for ULA, because they don't have a production in-house for those engines which they will be using for Vulcan, and that is bottlenecking their launch. B4 engines, that is the engines which they will be using on Atlas 5, and they were using the Russian engines, and that contract is coming to an end, so they need to design a new rocket, and obviously with the US made rocket, so they went with the B4 manufactured by Blue Origin, and that is making some problem, because right now the only prototype which Blue Origin have developed of the BE4 engines is on the Pathfinder, and that is a prototype only. It's not even a final product, so we'll have to wait and see when we get our first flight of the Vulcan rocket. Thank you all, guys. I think we can end the stream now. I can just go on with the space talk and not even end. I can just go on and go on, but again, I have also to go. I have to go now. I have to do some work here, and I think we had a good liftoff. So talking about the launch, we have a very good liftoff. We had some great knowledge about what is going to the station, and that is pretty darn good, I must say that. Yeah, the launch was spectacular as always, and yeah, the landing was picture perfect, as they say, as always. And SpaceX is literally making the launches routine. The next launch is on the 6th of June, just 3 days from now, and I'll be looking on to that, and just let's see what do we have in store for us. It's an SXM-8 mission, if I'm not wrong. I'll be streaming that, don't worry. And when I announced that I won't be streaming the Starlink and the OneWeb launches, the SpaceX is now not launching any more Starlink satellites for now, because they have completed their first shell of Starlink launches, and I can't see the Starlink launches as such. So okay. Fortunately, I streamed the last launch which happened for the Starlink. OneWeb are still on, but the Starlink is now off the track for some time. So thank you so much all guys for tuning in, and you guys are great. Again, if you want to support me, you can become a Patreon. Link is down in the description. You can just do that, and super chat is always enabled for one-time funding. If you like my stream, if you like what I do, you can always support me in that, and it really helps the channel to stay alive and do provide such content to you all guys. So if you like my content, and if you want that I keep doing that, you can always support me. Link is down in the description in the Patreon. And yes, with that NASA logo incoming, I'll say tata bye bye to all of you, and should be back with another great stream on 6th, and should be working now on another video. Great stream, great time with you all guys, and I hope you have a great day ahead. So until then, this is Pianshu Roila. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye.